Hello, I am Jody Wolf, and you're watching Expoz on October 30, 2012, 1:27 a.m., Birmingham, Alabama. Topic: the same thing that's on everybody's mind in this entire country, the devastation that is ripping the eastern seaboard apart. I would have bet anybody anything $100 to every nickel that this would not have happened. But I was wrong. And an article came out, a really extended article, and I want to just give you some of the titles of the same continuous article, and then read some of it. But all this information I'm going to have in the box below this blog. The start, the title here: God's October Surprise. Hurricane Sandy poised. Worst case scenario happened. This is God's October surprise. Hurricane Sandy is a potentially historic, catastrophic, monstrous, devastating storm. And he goes on and says, expert warns Hurricane Sandy is a monster behemoth. Storm is God about to shake us again. And another: consider the latest news coverage of Hurricane Sandy. And it talks about a little bit about that, a whole lot about that. And then, could Frankenstorm be a sign from God? All these are for, in one letter today. And then the big storm, politically, prophetically, and spiritually. Okay. White House correspondent and fellow watchman Bill Koenig, Koenig, wrote this article. Bill Koenig. And he has a timeline. Koenig reports Sandy developed from an elongated tropical wave in the western Caribbean on October 22nd. It quickly strengthened after becoming a tropical depression and was upgraded to a tropical storm only in 6 hours. Sandy moved slowly northward toward the Greater Antilles and gradually strengthened on October 24th. Sandy's upgraded to a hurricane. And I'm going to make another point here. Currently, the New York Stock Exchange markets closed, transit systems closed, in New York and in Washington closed, the federal government closed, train air travel systems are shut down. And then he says some of the most liberal and God-mocking areas of the nation are being hit right now. And he gives the timeline on this, everything from the 22nd that it was first cited as a tropical depression up until what it is now. And I'm going to read another short thing. This is part of the timeline. October 22nd, presidential debate, where occupant of the Oval Office says Israeli-U.S. relations are at an unprecedented favorable level. The administration-backed United Nations Human Rights Council called for nations to divest interest in the United States companies that are doing business in Israel. That Sandy jumped from a depression to a storm. And to go on, the president endorsed same-sex marriage in Maryland, Maine, and Washington. And they're all being hit by Sandy as we speak. The administration continues to lie about what happened in Benghazi. And the list goes on. There is a big storm brewing for this nation. He's talking about the elections in more ways than one. And then he said, could Sandy be a Galatians chapter 6 verse 7 type of warning? Be not deceived. God is not mocked. For whatever a man sows, that shall he also reap. This is what he wrote. And I'm going to have all this information down here in the information box where you can go to it, call it up, read it for yourself. He has a very extended timeline, not only on this one, but starting back when Bush broke off from Reagan's views and took Israel and said, all right, we want to split you up. That was the first perfect storm that took out Bush's house. This storm, exactly to the date, X number of years later. But as it started, whoever called it a potential perfect storm was looking at some biblical purposes and reasons why it could be. I didn't believe it. I did not believe this would happen for nothing in the world. But I can tell you, I'm like everybody else in this country. I have not stopped praying for the entire East Coast. I have friends on Long Island, one in Boston, and one in Aurelia, Canada, 60 miles north of Toronto. I've not heard from 3 of them. And this is something that, by gosh, we need to quit kicking God out of every place in our country. We're kicking him further down the street. It's kicking the can. And when we're going to really need him, he's not going to be there. Jody Wolf, Expoz.